We deployed in Iraq in 2006. We then deployed to Kosovo. From there, we then deployed to Afghanistan.
Well, you've been through quite a lot, son, haven't you?
Aww.
Hello, young man.
Nice to meet
How are you?
Young man! Oh.
How you been? You okay?
Not so bad. Yourself?
On the spot.
On the spot.
He's so polite.
There's a stack of them here, isn't there?
All right.
Which war did you fight in?
Second World War.
He's 95? Yo, he's kind of healthy for freaking 95, huh?
Flotilla was the third flotilla, and there was 12 of us. And we took part in the North African campaign. And then we went on to the invasion of Sicily.
How long were you away for?
2 years. In them days, with a different war, you had to go where you were sent. And some lads went to North Africa and went right through and never got home till way after D-Day. The other wars that followed this, it's an entirely different war than what ours was.
I think it goes through generations, doesn't it? It goes from one war to another.
It's frightening to see what happens to these modern wars. You're fighting an enemy you do not know where he is for the start. Like in our war, as long as you were going forward, you were going the right way. But you get in Afghanistan and that, he can come up behind you and you don't know he's there. And from my way of thinking, I wouldn't like to have fought in that war, I'll be honest with you.
See, that's where I think the two changed, because I wouldn't like to fight in your war. Because in my eyes, being on a ship...
It's probably safer on a ship, so I can't swim, so...
You can't
Oh.
swim. I thought you were a sailor.
And they never taught me, but where would you swim to? If you're a long way from home, it don't matter whether you could swim or not.
After training, I got
He
to
has a
battalion.
sense of humor, man.
And then we deployed to Belize.
Yeah.
We went for 6 weeks in the jungle, training.
Yeah.
And that was pre-training for Iraq. We deployed in Iraq in 2006. Yeah, 2006. That was a 6-month tour, turned into a 7-month tour. And we were deployed to Saddam's palace in Basra South, where we patrolled and did strike ops. After there, we come back. I went on to do my promotion. We then deployed to Kosovo. That was peacekeeping. And then from there, we then deployed to Afghanistan, to Herrick 10. So completely
Straight
different
in, huh?
operations altogether, from armoured to foot.
Well, you've been through quite a lot, son, haven't you? What are your feelings towards the enemy now in comparison to at the time? That's a good one, that.
At the time, I didn't, it's weird because I'm going to probably stand out here, is I didn't have any hate for them. I believed that we were fighting in someone else's country and they were defending it in a way. But I think that's one of the other reasons why I left, because I didn't believe in it in the end. I think I fought that hard, and
That's
I was
fair.
fighting an enemy so much that I was equal to them. If someone can fight, if someone can get a number of men in front of me and fight me and my men to the extreme that they were fighting us, then hat off to them. What about yourself?
Well, we fought the Germans to win the war. That's what was bred into you. And it took me until about 1970 before I could really,
That's 30 years almost, man.
you know, see me way clear. I have nothing against them now. It took me all that time to realize they were the same as us, doing what they had to do.
Yeah.
Have you ever fired a weapon?
Yes, on the landing craft, I was an anti-aircraft gunner. We had 6 Oerlikons and a 12-pounder on her. So I fired that many times through the war. It's a different thing. It's not like firing a rifle. No, like a soldier has to rely on a rifle, doesn't he?
Yeah.
A guy has to rely on me anti-aircraft gun. Whenever you're in imminent danger, you're called to action stations. And if the planes come at you, then you have to fight back. And on the Orlican, you had a shield, which you look through the gap, so to speak. It always gave you that feeling that he couldn't hit you, which was a silly way of thinking, but it gave you a bit of feeling of comfort, if you know what I mean.
See, with us, we were just rifles. Rifles, and we had GPMGs, which was 7.62 belt fed, which that most of them.
Well, you'd be lost
Advancement
without
of
your rifle or
weapons.
your gun, wouldn't you? On the deck.
Afghan had a section, so I had a section of 8 lads, and very, very good lads as well. We would get in 360 ambushes, so we'd get hit by an IED, so you'd have someone from the front, right, left.
You got hit by an IED,
Coming
damn.
from the top of the compound, and they basically just spraying you with rapid fire with 7.62. Once you got into the firefight, you could never tell what was going to happen, but you always knew it was going to be like a well-oiled machine. The way your SOPs kick into place, the way you know your lads they just knew, because of the amount of training you did, we knew exactly what we were doing.
How do you think soldiers are viewed in society?
It all depends how the media portrays us.
Yeah.
Remember going back when we were coming back from Iraq, we landed in Teesside, and we had groups of people that weren't happy that we were there, and
Oh yeah, I remember there was a story. I used to work. Let's just say I had interactions with older people because of medicals, and there were people that were Vietnam vets, and they would always have stories of people shitting on them and being like, "You're a piece of shit," and "You should have died out there." And they're these young 20-year-old bucks and stuff. It sucked. I just think it's sad. Yeah, baby killer and stuff like that. I think it was both ways. It really depends how the media does it, just like he said.
And they were British people, because the media portrayed us as killers, as murderers. Flipping the coin, when we come back from Afghan, we were portrayed as heroes. So the whole country rejoiced to go, "Oh, save our heroes." Obviously, your generation, you were classed as
I
heroes.
think the war had lasted so long that they were glad to see the people back home.
Yeah.
And I think most soldiers and sailors, any serviceman, was looked upon, they say thank you to them for getting their freedom in one way. Yeah. They were glad to see the war over. I can understand the difference now. It's a different generation, and but
it's a different war, isn't it?
Well, you find it, I know.
When you're in a war zone, and as you know, you've got that constant stress above your head of what's next, and you're constantly on high alert, and you're constantly irate. It only takes one person to look at you, and you're ready to fight straight away. Hence why when soldiers come back home, someone looks at you the wrong way, you're already in fight mode. It's been 12 years, I'm still in fight mode now. I don't think I'll ever change that. If
you're fighting a war, it's them or us, so to speak. And that's my way of thinking. Yeah. And so let it be.
That's it. But when I was out there, it was my lads. My lads are coming home, no matter what. I don't care who you are, my lads are coming home.
Have you ever lost a member of your company?
I want to answer it, but I don't at the same time, because we've lost quite a lot of lads from our battalion, of our regiment. I'll say regiment because it's 1 RGJ and 2 RGJ. Today is the 10th anniversary for a lad we lost called Paul McAleese. He was my screw. We lost him 10 years today. We've lost quite a lot. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Don't want to go too much into it. Have you ever suffered a serious injury?
I've only had a backflash from the gun, which sometimes with an Orlican, after it gets hot, thing sort of blows and you get a flash, but nothing serious.
Apart from a few broken sprains and broken wrists and stuff like that, and major
they're lucky,
would be probably mentally. And this is, as you know, it's a massive epidemic that's going through the military at the moment. For veterans
PTSD.
and still serving is mental health. The past 13 years, I've really suffered, really suffered. But I've sort of battered it backwards and kept moving forward, you know what I mean? It was kept
They never talk about it either. I know a friend that had a grandpa in the Vietnam War, and the only reason they knew about it is because they talked about it one time to the mom, which is the grandma, and then the grandma told them, and then the mom told them. So like those stories, they only live through like once. Most people don't talk about it. I'm pretty sure my grandpa never talked about it either, to be honest. He maybe like told a story or two, and that's like kind of lived through the family. It's the same for pretty much like all people that had to serve like that.
moving forward. And I think with my age now, I've got to the age where it's like, well, I've got my family and all that. It's like, I've got to stay straight, you know what I mean? But it creeps back a lot. It does creep back a lot. I think having my daughter is kicking up the arse quite hard, like, you know what I mean? But I think if it didn't, I'd probably still be like that, you know what I mean? It's, but I know a lot of lads, a lot of girls, a lot of soldiers are suffering. Do you miss the forces?
Oof, that's a good question. No, I don't think I missed it. I was away about 4.5 years. I served, and I was glad to get out. And no, that's my answer to that. I don't know about yourself.
No. A lot of the lads, their issue with it, they say, oh yeah, I missed the army, I wish I'd go back. I think what it is regimented.
I think it's a lot of people who just become used to the structure and the camaraderie. I don't think they miss, being freaking shot at, obviously. It's the camaraderie. Hold on, let me read this. What did this say? My dad didn't talk about Vietnam until he picked me up from the airport after my Afghanistan deployment. I think it's a lot about, like, relatability and also not wanting to, like, tell people about your trauma. I think that's a big factor for sure, 100%.
Regimented in such a routine where that is your life, and you do that for 3 to 7 to 22 years. Well, I left and it was like, oh, I'm struggling here. But it was because it was the unknown. It's, I don't miss it. I miss the lads and I miss
camaraderie.
Yeah, I miss that.
That's about the only thing you miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't get me wrong, I miss firefights, believe it or not. I miss getting into firefights. I miss weapon handling. I miss teaching it, but that can be replaced by anything. I mean, if you find another passion, another love in life, you replace it with that, you know what I mean? Is there anything you regret about your service?
Not really. Through the years, I am proud to have been a part of it. It took all my youth. If I hadn't have been there, I'd have missed quite a lot. And no, I don't regret it one bit.
I don't think I regret it because it's like I said, it's what I've gained from it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mentally, it's been mentally draining once I've got out, but at the same time, it's strengthening at the same time. So where something's suffering, someone else is strengthening. You know what I mean? So I'm becoming a better person.
Well, you want to tell your story. From my point of view, it may be to help the younger generation. They don't know about your war. They don't know about my war. And by coming on this sort of thing, people watch it and they realise it's part of history. I would think so, or I hope so.
Well, with me, it's like for 10 years after getting out, I suffered and I went into a dark place and I kept it to myself. And every time someone mentioned the military or something like that, I'd switch off and walk away. Didn't want to know. And I'm still a little bit like that now. But since this year, I've started a new project. I've been talking about my career,
you gotta occupy yourself
story,
more.
my mental health, and my fight and struggle and all that carry on. It's actually helping me. It's helping me talking about it. But more importantly, there could be someone sat in a dark room right now who hasn't left the house for 2 weeks, and they're scrolling the phone. They come across LADbible. They listen to this. They listen to me and you, and they go, "I've been through that. I've seen this, or that's worse than me, or that's not as worse than me." And if they stand up and they walk out the front door and they give it a go, then we save one. Then it's worth it. So that's why I talk about my story now. And
well, I wouldn't have known your story if I hadn't have listened to it here, would I? I've learned a lot from you, and I hope our little talk today has helped in that way.
I think it will. Not just the younger generation. I think the elders as well. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
That was wholesome.
Nice to meet you, son. Honest.
Sorry I didn't yap too much. I just wanted to listen to them talk. like I have a lot of input. The only thing that I can relate to is that my grandpa was in the World War II. Yeah. That was wholesome chat. Yeah. Clampies. Yeah.